Now that you're done tracing, you're using permanent markers to trace your Van Gogh inspired flowers in a vase, it is time to start adding color. Now we are going to add color in the flowers, we are going to add color in the stems, and we are going to add color in the vase. We will not, I repeat, putting no colors, not adding any colors on the table or in the background here, because we are going to be using watercolor later on to paint that area. So I want to talk a little bit about the color choices. We had looked at these two prints, and you will see these two prints posted in the classroom. And I want you to take a look at how each one is similar but yet different. Remember, Van Gogh painted prolifically, which means he painted tons and tons and tons of paintings, and he sometimes would paint the same images over again and again in slightly different ways, just as you see here. So if I look at this piece, you're going to see in this little round area right here, so I'll look at this one, you're going to see colors such as yellow, and we're going to be using oil pastels. So I'm just going to pull some colors. I see some yellow in there, and I see some green, and we are not going to worry about the colors being a little dirty, but because that's okay, not a problem. I see a little bit of black. I see some orange, so I'm going to get some orange. Now, if you need to peel some of this back, you can. All I ask is that if you do peel some of the paper away, this goes in the garbage or recycling. It does not go back in the bucket. So I'm going to set that aside. I could use a little bit of white. Let's see, what else do I have there? Oh, I have brown in there. Let's see if I can find brown. And I might find more than one brown. So there's kind of like a red brown. And let's see if I can't find a darker brown. I need to replenish some of these. These are looking a little old. Let's see if I can find a deeper brown. I think, oh, that's the same one. I'll just use that one. Well, I'm having a hard time finding another darker brown. So we'll just go with this. So in here, I could now do a couple different things. You could go in here and you could just make it all one color, which I'm not saying it wouldn't be pretty, but it would be kind of plain. So I'm going to show you just the difference of the two. And one of the things on the prints that are in the classroom, you're going to notice that you can really see kind of the brush strokes of the paint and how he had like these choppy little lines that he used. So we're going to just fill this in, or I'm going to fill this in. Now I'm going to show you kind of half of this done in some different colors, and the other half if I just leave it with the yellow. And it's okay if there's stuff on here, because that's actually going to make that flower a little bit more interesting. So there's my yellow. Now you're seeing I have some orange and some brown. Well, I could go in here and I could say, okay, well, I'm seeing some orange in through here. I see kind of little pockets of orange, and I see some brown. The nice thing about these oil pastels or crayons is that your crayons, notice that they're as thick like crayons, except these oil pastels have actual oil in them, whereas the crayons are wax. And so oil pastels allow you to blend a little bit better. So I could go back in with my yellow if I wanted to, and I could color on top of the brown. And do you see how that's just going to blend in? And I could do the same thing if I wanted to go in and just go back and add some more. I could even go in with the white and kind of blend a little bit in. But what I want you to notice with this is I want you to notice how much more interesting it is when I pull some of the similar colors that I'm seeing in Vincent van Gogh's artwork versus just keeping with the plain yellow. And do you see how I'm going back and I'm overlapping? So do you see how this is much more realistic to what you're seeing over here versus just having this part, just keeping it one color? So I want you to try and blend some of your colors together so that you're getting a little bit of what you see here. Now I could go in and I could add some yellow, orange, and maybe browns to kind of get like a goldy color along with that green on the inside. But I'm not going to do that right now because I want you to be able to get started. Over here I might be using, I don't know if you noticed, but I see a little bit of red in there. So I might actually could do a little bit, I could even add a little bit of red in this one too, just to kind of pop that out, just to get a little bit more interest. And again, using that yellow, because the yellow is the lighter color, so I'm just using that to soften it a little bit, but you can still see a little bit of that red in there. So I'm using a couple different colors in there to get some really nice mix. When you do these flowers, we want to be really careful that we are not doing something where we're coloring over the whole thing like that. That's not what we want to do. I want you to think about your petal in each section. So maybe this petal starts off with yellow at the bottom, and maybe this petal starts off with a little bit of orange at the bottom. And then I could take the yellow and maybe go on top and blend that. And maybe I could take a little bit of the orange and then back with the yellow. So I'm keeping kind of some similar colors, but each one is going to be just a little bit different. And then I can go back with the yellow. So I could do kind of like a pattern if I wanted to. This is going to help create more individuality of your petals. And I could even go in and add just a little bit of brown. And again, the yellow on top just to help blend. So they're similar in color, but they're different enough so that each one looks like its own personality. So don't just take your color and don't just color the whole thing. Really be thinking about how are you going to do each one. Now, one of the things I do want you to work on is, I know that I let you go in and I let you add some other flowers of your choice. So this is what I'm asking. I want all the flowers that we drew together, the Vincent van Gogh flowers, to try and look like one of the two prints that are posted on the classroom. The other flowers that you put in there, that you created on your own, those can be any color you want. You might want to consider taking your green and using a couple different greens. So like I noticed I didn't color the whole thing. I left some of that there. And I could go in with yellow and green mixed together is going to make kind of a yellow-green color. Think of this as a coloring book. So when you think about the black lines, and we did all that tracing, think about those black lines as being kind of a coloring book. We want to try and stay inside those black lines. So you can see that this is much more interesting to look at than if we had just done it one plain green. I could also go in and I could do a green, another green stem, and I could use white to make it kind of look like more of a minty stem. And if I think that that's too light, I could go back and add more green. And if I wanted to add a little bit of shading, I could go in with pencil, or not pencil, I was with my black, and then my green. And I can just make it kind of a little bit darker on one side to kind of create a little bit of a shadow. So there are some different things that you can do, and oil pastels are great for blending. When you work on the vase, I would suggest that you make the bottom of your vase and the top of your vase two different colors. And I would suggest that there are not necessarily colors that you have used up here. So for instance, you could either kind of copy what Vincent van Gogh did if you want to, or I could do a dark blue vase on the bottom and I could use baby blue on the top. And I might do some blending of different colors together. But again, you're not coloring in the table and you're not coloring in this background. We will be using watercolors for that. If you do not finish all of your coloring, that's fine. We will continue working on it the next time I see you or next class. And so please don't rush. Take your time, do a really nice job, And I look forward to seeing how well you can blend your oil pastels and staying inside that line, doing number 4 neatness. And yeah, that's it. Have fun, and I can't wait to see how these all come out. These are going to be gorgeous.